Hi peeps and welcome back to the channel. So in today's video I thought I might tell you about 3 really effective ways that I have found to engage pupils. So I'm sure that we've all been in that situation. I'm sure that that's the case. Have you ever been in that situation where you're teaching your lesson, you've planned it well, you've got all your resources ready, and yet there are still children sort of having a little daydream or not focused, or when you ask a question, it's like you're talking another language. If you recognise this is probably the video for you. So I've just jotted down a few quick things, because I think when we're teaching, what we need solutions, and we need solutions that are quick and that are easy and impactful. So what I've tried to do in this video is to suggest that. Okay, so to give you ideas. You are probably doing these already. However, it's often the misconception that, everybody's doing this already. So it's not new. It's something that I have learned throughout my relatively short career, but there's a lot of teachers out there with fantastic experience, and they absolutely think that everybody does it just the way that they do it, but they don't. So maybe this might be insightful, and maybe it might not. So here's hoping. So let's crack on with it. So 3 ways to easily engage your children in learning. So problem 1 is that there are a few children in the class that are unfocused. They're daydreaming. They're out looking at the window. They're not interacting. Have you ever asked a question and the same people are like, oh, me, and you feel like you're picking the same people? I know I have, absolutely. So what I'm going to suggest is, and something that I know is unfamiliar to some people. So Shirley Clark has these amazing techniques. AIFL, assessment is for learning. So one of these techniques that she has, are questioning techniques, is using lollipop sticks. If you have lollipop sticks with all the children's names on it, basically it's in a random. Okay? What this does is it gives the children a reason to be focused. Okay? Because their name could get picked at any time. So there's a couple of things that I think about this. When I think back to my experience back at school, there was that anxiety that if I didn't know the answer, first of all, how many people, especially, going up to school, used to be asked a question and everybody was like that. Oh, suddenly so interested in what's on their desk or writing away. They did not look at the teacher. Unfortunately for me, or maybe fortunately, there was 2 things that played on my mind. One was that when I was much younger, I was really quite deaf and I had to lip read. So I lip read people's talking to make sure I understood and make sure that tone came direct to my ear. So whenever any teacher was speaking, I had to look at them in order to understand them. What that meant was I was key and I was primed just for them to say, oh, Julie, and I literally would, go rabbit in the headlights and go, I don't know. But what this did is it did 2 things for me. It pushed me out of my comfort zone constantly. And it also made me hate the silences. So I hated that point in time in which when people asked a question, looked for opinions, looked for thoughts, I hated the silence. So I used to put myself forward and go, I'll say the stupid answer, I'll say the stupid question. Of course, there are no stupid questions. I didn't know that at the time, because somebody might feel a bit braver now that I've asked that stupid question. So that's what I used to do as a child. And I'm sure that there's lots of people that have had that experience of looking straight down because they don't know the answer. They're feeling on the spot. And so that's where I think that lollipop sticks used on their own can put children on the spot, and they do not engage. They suddenly clam up. The other thing is that, you know, you pull the child's name out of the lollipop stick pot, and, you know, they say, okay, Jennifer, you know, what is, you know, and you've got it modelled up, you know, you ask the question again, you know, I've got 10 and 10 here, how many does that make altogether? And they're just like that. Like that. Oh my gosh. So the way to stop that is by providing thinking time. And I say to all my children, okay, let's get our thinking caps on. Okay, so they are younger, my, you know, first level, you're looking at first level, early years, you're looking at going like, okay, let's get our thinking caps on. When you're looking at second level, the way that a position is, like, I'm going to think about this. Okay, so what I'm looking for, I'm going to be picking my lollipops and I'm rattling the lollipop stick so they know it's coming. But I just want to check, 10 add 10. Do I know the answer? Right, let's have a little think. And you literally are looking, you know, I'm doing all the acting, you know, where I'm like, do I know the answer? You know, but I'm actually looking for the light bulbs in almost everybody. In almost everybody, if I can get almost everybody looking at the light bulbs, okay? If I'm looking for the people, if I'm looking at the people that perhaps are not thinking about it, you know, I'm maybe going to pull them in. Okay, Gareth, you know, remember, we're concentrating. Let's get our thinking caps in case it's your name that I pull it out. So that you're cold calling on those children. Okay, you're switching them on, bringing them into the room, but you're giving them thinking time. Okay, and that bolsters the panic, you know. So you can do that, and then you pick the name out of the hat, and then you ask the question. At that point, one of two things are going to happen. One, the person has the answer. Two, the person goes, you know your children, and there are certain children that really don't like speaking aloud. Okay, here's how I would encourage them to speak aloud. I always say, do you want to phone a friend? Because you know they know the answer, but they need that extra confidence. They need that extra boost. So, do you want to phone a friend? And they go. Two things happen. When it initially works like that, I will let them phone a friend and pick the person that they want to answer for them. So they become their mouthpiece. And then when they say, oh, it's 20, I say, okay, Gareth, is that the answer that you had in your mind? Okay. And then we're checking, we're using our thumbs up. Are they right? Are we not sure? Or do you think they're wrong? Okay, so you're constantly using that questioning. The other thing that what I would do is the next stage of that is that I wouldn't give them an easy opt-out of using them as their mouthpiece. What happens is they get to point to who they want to be phoning the friend. That friend goes along to them, whispers in their ear what their answer is, then that person will say that the answer. Okay, you know, and sometimes I'll play a little game and go, oh, do you want to accept their answer or do you want to use one of your own? You know, taking it into a game show. That helps and builds up their confidence. It doesn't make them feel, oh my gosh, all eyes are on me, because literally they've got a little pal right next to them that they can rely on, so that it's more like they're a team. That builds up children's confidence and helps them really participate, because I think that's one of the things that sometimes, you know, it's the case. I'm never out whenever I cold call people. I'm never out to humiliate them. You know, I'm very, very aware of how if I say, oh, such and such, you're not listening, what's the answer? Or, you don't think that you have to participate, what's the answer? That's humiliating a child, and that's not what I'm about. What I will do, however, if somebody's talking, I'll go, oh, we have something to say. What do you think the answer is? And then I'll repeat the question. So remember, what we were asking was, what is 10 add 10? Did you have your thinking cap on? And they'll either go like that, and they'll give me the answer, and they'll go, okay, well, put your thinking cap on, let's put it on. And they'll put it on. Okay, I'm going to ask somebody else a question just now, and then I'm going to come straight back to you. So you're thinking about those things. Is there anything else that you need to help you? So they're looking around the learning walls. They're looking to see, maybe that person, they need extra resources. So I'm asking them the question, is there anything else that you need to help you answer that question? Because realistically, if I'm asking those questions, that is heavily scaffolded, certainly in the lower ages. Okay, it's heavily scaffolded. In the upper stages, chances are I'm not going to be asking what's 10 out of 10. But in the upper stages, I really teach my children how to, really use resources well, so that everybody knows how to use each resource, and I make them very, very aware that anybody can use them and anybody might need them at any point in time, because where somebody might get number and arithmetic really quickly, they may not feel that they get money easily, even though we can really see the cross relations in it. They might not be able to see that yet, so they might need the resources to help them work this out. So in the upper stages, or early right through, I teach children how to use the resources, but it might not be the case where they'll automatically have it scaffolded as heavily as I would for early years. Okay, so that being over, so if you have somebody that is unfocused and daydreaming about, then I would say lollipop sticks, giving them thinking time, cold calling them out, giving the phone a friend, and getting the thinking caps on. That thinking time. So that is a really, really easy way to engage all of the learners and pulling them in and making sure that questioning is appropriate for every child, because we all know the children that are pick me, I know the answer, or will even shout out the answer. So you just have to be really careful and make sure that you're drawing in all the children. The next thing that I'm thinking of is when children are put in a group, and say you've got 4 in that group, and you decide, okay, so we're going to do this group task. Everybody has to work together. Now you've spoken to them about teamwork. You've told them what that looks like. You've modelled it. You've shown them, and yet there will be at least one person just letting everybody else is scurrying around them. You've got a leader there, and they're going, okay, right, we need to do this. And if it's anything like my class, that leader will actually just take over instead of asking other people. They'll just take over. So what I have been doing with my class is I have been giving everybody a job. So everybody gets a number from 1 to 5, usually 1 to 5. And within that they'll get partners to work with, and at least one of them will be a speaker, and it's usually the person that would not speak up. Okay, usually the person that would not speak up, they suddenly become the speaker. Now when I'm counting random, it is pretty random, but I have found that a lot it just seems to be the case where I'm picking, say, the speaker to be the person that is often a bit shyer and needs a bit more building of confidence. So I might pair them up with somebody if I see there's a couple of people that are supposed to be speakers and they're not as confident, I might pair them up. So 1 and 3, you work together. You're going to be the speakers, but you're going to be having a conversation between what you're going to say. So maybe somebody is going to write down what you're going to say, and then you're going to have your notes there. Again, it's about bringing up confidence and building up that sort of team that I've got my little buddy beside me. The other thing, of course, is you've got somebody who are, two people that are actually working out there. They're handling the concrete materials. They get their hands on the prize, and they get to do that. But it's about, really looking at them, how they're working effectively and making sure that not one person is doing all the work. So, you've got... okay, so this person does the work for this question, and then this person does the work for this question. But you have to report back to the speaker. These kind of things. Everybody has their own job, and then we're looking at a leader. Somebody who is going to incorporate everybody. Somebody who's going to take charge. Is everybody doing their job? Somebody who, again, and the people who perhaps have less confidence, they're really good in this role because they are more willing to listen to other people's point of view, and actually bring it all together. So it's a really good tactic that I've been using. The impact of it has been that the people who, like I said, the people who are less willing to speak are gaining in confidence, and the people who usually take over are starting to build up those relationship skills, because especially at primary 2, that's a big ask to go with teamwork. But it's one of the key skills that these children will absolutely use throughout their life. Okay, so and often I will relate it to real life issues. So if you're building a house and the plumber is trying to do all his stuff before the builder's done his stuff, and before even the wooden struts are up, or the architect has even drawn the plans, then what's going to happen? So having that come to life and having a lesson just on teamwork is really effective. But giving everybody a job, an actual job, works well. The other option that you can do is everybody has their part to play. So what happens in teamwork, in the group work that I do sometimes, is they all have a discussion. They all do the research, or work with the concrete materials, depending on what it is. Maybe I'll put different concrete materials out to work out very similar answers, and then I will split each group up. So say they're in 4s, and we've got 4 groups, so one person, so we've got 4 groups, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So number 1 from group 1 will go into group 2, number 2 will go into group 3, number 3 will go into group 4, and number 4 stays there. Okay, and then they do exactly the same. So every group now has 3 new people, right? 3 new people, and they then talk about what their group did. They then suddenly become experts, and they are leading in their field. So they have to really concentrate and discuss it. Now, I'm not going to say that this works fantastically the first time you do it, but after the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, the 6th time, you're really developing it. And when you're developing these skills, it means that they can go into any sort of group work, and they're already building up those leadership qualities, those communication qualities, those relationship qualities that they all need. So that is another really good thing to make sure that children are all playing their part in group work. The third thing I'm going to tell you about is children who struggle to understand the relevance of the work to them. So, basically, I'm talking about, well, why should I be interested in this? And there's lots and lots of different ways. Of course, relating it to real life. Sometimes we can find that, I know that I can find that a bit difficult straight away. I'm thinking about, if we're working about money, well, why would we need to know about money? Well, if you go into the shops and then you get shortchanged, blah, 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 what will happen? That's fine. But trying to explain to children, well, why do you want to spell, for example? And I actually do you remember the advert on medicines? It was about, no, not medicines, it wasn't about that at all. It was actually from the Big Plus. So it was people who weren't able to spell, and this woman, she was looking at a medicine bottle for her baby, and she couldn't understand the instructions. So I use that example, and I say, look, say for example, if you're a doctor and, you can't understand the instructions on medicine, what would happen if you didn't give them enough or didn't give them too much or things like this? It all incorporates that sort of health and wellness as well, and getting them to, understand about that emotional impact as well. So I use that example, and yes, there's lots and lots of ways that you can tie it to real life, but sometimes I just feel, I'm a bit put on the spot, and how can that completely relate to that person who just says, I don't want to be that, I don't want to be that, I don't want to be that. So, because you do have children that are like that, they pretend to be like that. So what I have found to be a good solution for relating the work to them, a couple of things. One, of course, you've got your hook. So some of the hooks that I have used has been gaming, whatever gaming they're into. I have used sort of crime games, so sort of gamification. So gamification, I've spoken before about this in my channel. But gamification can be anything. I mean, literally, you could put on a hat and it becomes a game. Okay, or you could stick something on a wall and it becomes a game. For me, I think about, setting the scene, going back in time, and I literally, there's something that I put on. So, for example, when I did the Aztecs, I had a little, so it was a gold collar, and I said, when we put this on, then actually we're transported back into time. What do you see? What do you see? What's the noises that you heard? So, and I had a smart board having, a fire crackling, or some Aztec music, these kind of things, and that can just create, it's like transporting them into a different world. Okay, and it doesn't take an awful lot of thought, and it doesn't take, it's not a big like, I've got to decorate my entire classroom. It's not about that. It's just getting them, setting the scene, going back in time to, for some history or topic work. Making the kids naturally curious. So what I mean by this is, I try to think of different puzzles and go, oh my gosh, well, there was a problem in the staff room, just to break time there. Somebody has lost some money, but they can't remember how much it is. They can't remember how much it is. All they remember is there was a 50 pence and a 10 pence, but they were sure that it made £1. What else could have been in their purse? What else could we be looking for? What could be missing? And then you've literally got the algebraic fractions there. You've got the missing number, and it's made twice as hard because you're looking for 40 pence, but we don't have a 40 pence piece. So it's 2 20s, or is it 4 10s, or what are the different ways? So, but just putting that in and just going, you need to help me, or giving people a secret mission. Brilliant in terms of lots of different things, but I found it particularly useful in health and well-being when I've said, secret mission is that you have to show random acts of kindness. You can't let anybody know that you've been kind. Okay, nobody can see. And literally, it might be, that they're picking up litter, that they may be, helping other people, whatever it is. But your mission is that you mustn't let on that you're trying to do this. It just It just occurred. It just happened naturally. So these kind of secret missions, the kids get on board, and they, you know, all the way up the school, they absolutely love it. I love, you know, escape rooms, those kind of things. You're like, people and children are naturally curious, so they want to solve problems, they want to figure things out. If you can put a tiny little element, and it's just literally thinking of a little scenario, or like I say, putting on a hat, you know, okay, this is you know, Mr. Majika's coming, you know, and then suddenly, you know, you've got like, put a bobble in your hair. Anybody remember Mr. Majika? No. Anyway, look it up. So those are my 3 takeaways. I know they took a little bit longer there, but they're actually really quick and easy to implement. And the impact of it means that, one, in problem 1, where children are unfocused, they're daydreaming out the window and they're not interacting, they suddenly become very focused, but they become focused in a very safe and nurturing environment, because we're not about calling out children and making them feel like rubbish because they weren't focusing at the time. Okay. The next one is that where children let everybody else do the work. If you give everybody a job and what to do and build on that, just continuously build on it. You're not expecting them to be geniuses at teamwork the first time round. So, you know, give yourself some leeway and give them some leeway. And then the other thing is that when children struggle to go, well, what is the importance to me? I would always invest in a little element of magic, a little mystery, magical mystery tour, and just getting them engaged that way. Not all the time, but just having that, you know, just regularly seeping in, you know, and they will generally think that, you know, their school is just so bizarre because all these crazy things, you know, happen in their school, in the staff room. You know, they'll begin to really wonder about the staff. You know, is she really that forgetful? Did she lose things all the time? Anyway, I hope that really helped. Please let me know in the comments. As usual, please like, subscribe, share. That would be really lovely. But anything else that you would like me to do a video on, please comment on it. I love hearing from you. I love, you know, all the interaction. And I hope that you've enjoyed the video. In the meantime, guys, don't forget to be the best you can be. Mwah!